when most real estate professionals start thinking about prospecting, they typically all do the same thing.
Mhm.
They pick up their phone and they call someone and say, "Hey, Patrick, it's Matt, your realtor, and I'm just calling to check in. If I'm a productive member of society, I don't want my realtor calling me to just say hi more than once a year. Maybe once a year, that's nice, but like I want you calling to like update me on the market, tell me what's going on, tell me what I need to know."
Hey everybody, Patrick Merrill selling the beautiful Gulf Coast from the Mississippi, Louisiana line down to the Keys. We got you covered. I got a special guest here, Matt Muscat. I know I'm gonna mess that up. I keep going to that song from the 50s and the 60s, Muscat Love. I don't know why the name, but tell us a little bit about you and where you're from and everything. I'm here in Mississippi at the moment.
Yeah, so I'm Matt Muscat. I live in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I've been in the real estate world for about 16 years now, and my entire job has been to kind of coach and train realtors on what's working in the industry. And I like to stay on top of a lot of like statistics and kind of like tracking what the market is doing so that we can best help our mutual customers make informed decisions.
Okay. It's a lot to get. It's a lot to take to try to do all at one person and one person trying to do everything. So you've been doing and handling a lot of that as far as helping other people with that. So if I came to you, we could create a strategy and you could look at the numbers because I'm trying to learn how to kind of set back and look at my numbers kind of on the backside. So when I'm listing, I kind of want to be more up on what does this number mean when it's going to this? Who's seeing this property and things like that. And a lot of that, I'm gonna assume you have that already kind of laid out for us, or
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is that, most real estate professionals are not operating as a business, right? They're operating as like a nice person who their friends call when it's time to, list mom's
hmm
house. And I think when you start looking at like what are the numbers that are important to track both internally in your business and then the numbers that are important for your end customers, you can really start to operate more of as a real business. And so I like to work with agents to figure out like what worked last year, what didn't work last year, and what numbers could we start tracking so that then we can make informed decisions.
okay, I like that. And then, like I said, now when you handle like a lot of the advertisement, are we talking about like Zillow leads? Are we talking about lead generations? Are we talking about Facebook, Instagram, and things like that,
Yeah,
or
a little
just
bit of
some of
both.
all of it? Okay.
Little bit of both. I mean, I think, just a great example is it all starts with a little bit of an interview. If I'm trying to help someone with marketing, whether they're a real estate agent or, they own a hair salon, I
Right.
want to find out how their business works. I want to find out what their margins are. I want to figure out what types of customers they're actually hoping to get and what their needs are. And so from there, we then figure out what form of marketing do we want to go into. And so the example would be Zillow leads aren't going to make sense for the majority, like 90% of real
Mhm.
estate agents, unless they have a big team. Because when
Right.
you have a big team, the needs really shift a lot. And all of a sudden, you just need to get a vast number of leads in the system, even if the quality is low, because there is a value in training the people on your team on qualified leads of people looking to buy or sell. But for the average agent, most areas of the South, the Midwest, anywhere other than, California and New York City, most of our business comes from family, friends, and our spheres of influence. And so for the
Totally.
average realtor, we're typically working on strategies that are going to be more tailored to getting specific messaging out to people that you already know or people that are one connection away.
Okay. Trying to stay in front of them, trying to keep your face out there. And that's hard to do sometimes to keep, come up with an ad. I can put it here and then, all right, I got to run out and go show a house. So when I get back in, I'll put it here and here. It'd be nice to have that all one platform to be able to go and say, okay, look, this is my strategy for this month. Could we start trying to hit this? And I guess when the buyers come through, like I said, I do Zillow. I've been with them for forever. I started with them when you could buy a zip code for $20. So you can't do that no more. So
Right.
that's been a long time ago. So I buy Zillow leads and they work for me, but yeah, I'm a phone person. I answer my phone and I don't stop talking. So, those really work for me. And a lot of them I'm able to hang on to and you repeat customers from Zillow. Can you figure though, like if my lead did not come from Zillow, and can you track down kind of like where this buyer may have seen my ad? Was it something that just shot across of them on Facebook or things
Yeah, I
like
mean, I could
that?
tell you like 95% of the time, a lead is not going to come from doing an ad of any kind, right? Like whether that be a billboard or a Facebook post, a lead is typically going to come when someone who's actively looking or thinking about real estate happens to get contacted by you or someone they know at that critical point. So the vast majority of the marketing that we recommend to most people is going to be simply taking your entire list of everybody you know and figuring out how many calls, texts, emails, Facebook messages, events per year should I be doing to each type of person in my database. And then that way, you're always staying in front of them, but you're doing it with a different message.
Like that, because yeah, for years we would always do. All right, I would do a mail out, and I might do a springtime coming school mail outs. But I would try to do a mail out about every 2 or 3 months, and with all
Good.
the holidays, it made it really easy. But now it seems like a lot of people aren't wanting that mail. Some people still do. I mean, I love the old school. I love getting a letter, and some people don't want to deal with that. So a lot of people, I think, more is going into the internet and doing their diving and searching and looking and seeing, who's doing what, I guess.
Well, I mean, realistically, the one of the best and easiest forms of marketing for most realtors, especially if you don't want to spend money, is to actually like reverse engineer it and to find, let's say, a property that's been on the market for, let's say, a month or more. And
Okay.
maybe there's been a price drop. Well, if you take that property and you just use that as a reason to call people that are in your database to say, hey, Patrick, I know you're not house hunting right now, but I wanted to send you this property that's in your area because I wanted to let you know it's $100,000 more than when we bought your house. So you're doing really well. Or, hey, this is pretty close to you. And if you have a friend or a family member that's looking to move to the area soon, this would be a great fit for them. But it gives
Pick
you
your
an
neighbor.
yeah, it's networking, but it gives you an intelligent reason to call that's about real estate. Because when most real estate professionals start thinking about prospecting, they typically all do the same thing.
Mhm.
They pick up their phone and they call someone and say, "Hey, Patrick, it's Matt, your realtor, and I'm just calling to check in with you and see how things are going." Now, that is better than nothing.
Oh
Let's
my,
be honest.
yeah. Yeah.
But it would be much better if you had a reason to call that was important. Because if I'm a, productive member of society, I don't want my realtor calling me to just say hi more than once a year. Maybe once a year, that's nice. But like, I want you calling to like update me on the market, tell me what's going on, tell me what I need to know, tell me what prices are doing. Let's have you make me some money or, add value to my life. Tell me about a new restaurant that's opening up just by me. Or like, hey, Patrick, I was thinking about you because I was on your Facebook and I saw that you just went on this vacation and I just wanted to ask you, how was it? Like, call me with a reason. And if
That's
you do
true.
that, you're going to be more memorable and I'm going to like you more.
Well, and I tell people a lot of times too, it's like I think the more you get out and you socialize is where a lot of your business comes from. I don't see people coming in the office doors anymore. I mean, they still do, but most time it's just it's more now about convenience. And so it's like, let me just go online versus walking in. So I tell a lot of people when you're out, make sure you're going in and out of businesses. Don't use the drive up all the time at the bank or whatever, because there's a lot of people in the bank. Walk in on Monday morning and talk to people. I mean, I don't have it on today, but usually I wear my name tag everywhere I go. And, this is a
Yeah.
big old billboard. Free advertisement. So, I mean, why not? And a lot of times people actually stop. I mean, I'll wear it over with me when I go to Biloxi to the casinos, and people think I work at the casinos, but I open a window to talk to people with my name
Anything you
tag.
can do that gives someone a reason to say hi to you is a win. And I think the
Mhm.
further and further some of the younger generations go away from like being social and being always on their phone, I think it gives the rest of us a huge, huge opportunity. I mean, a realtor I talked to who was I think she was in Utah. She said not Utah, it was she was in Northern California, and she basically would just go to a different bar or restaurant once a week and sit at the bar by herself and wait for people to sit near her,
Mhm.
knowing that people that sit at the bar want to have a conversation. And so every week she would just meet 2 or 3 new people, have a good conversation,
Mhm.
add them on social media, engage them, and she grew her database by about 100 people per year, and she would close 8%. So think
That's
about that.
huge.
Pays
Yeah.
for your drinks too, gives you a reason to go out
Well,
and socialize.
yeah, I mean, I wish you could use that as a tax write-off, but for some reason they frown on that. Of course, I try to use my going to the casino every week to a tax write-off, and they won't
Yeah.
let me do that. But that, I mean, seriously, that makes a lot of sense because, like you just said, and I've been saying, there's so many people into their phones now they don't ever look up. And we're getting to where people just automatically think the door's going to be held open for them while they're looking at their phone. You're not going to let it loose and hit somebody in the head. But that's a bad place we're going to. Me, my personal feeling. I'm on my phone a lot, but I try to acknowledge my surroundings. And that's just, to me, that's a bad thing, getting too sucked into your phone where you're not paying attention to your surroundings in a lot of
Yeah.
places like that. So now I see that a lot of that's going.
Yeah. And now the other interesting thing, we talk about being absorbed in our phones all the time. There is some good information on our phones that we can use to get business. We
It
just have
is.
to think about it in a different way because most real estate professionals, most sales professionals, when they think about using social media to get business, they're thinking about posting something. They're
Hmm.
thinking about saying me, when really, I think the majority of the value is actually in reading what your people have already posted and looking for ammunition, almost like you're hunting, right?
Hmm.
So if I see that someone on my friends list just posted that they got a new job, that they had a baby, that they got divorced, that any of these big life events happened to them, that is someone who I want to pick up the phone to and call to check in. I want to make sure that, like, if I just found out that Patrick got a new job, he's on my check-in list for that week because when people get new jobs, they move. When people have babies, they move.
Yeah.
And you never want to do it in a sneaky way, but I genuinely want to call people to say congratulations.
Hmm.
And therefore, like, hey, like today, I spent half an hour of my time going to deliver flowers to a friend whose dog passed away. Like, is that the
Oh.
highest and best use of my time? No, but you know what? It was, it was great to see her and connect. And like,
Hmm.
she knew I cared about her. So when the next time
Yeah.
she needs a mortgage, there's a good chance she's going to call us.
Is that what you're saying right there, and just listening to people? Because I mean, I'm bad with dates. I don't remember dates, and sometimes I can't remember names. But a big old name tag on it, I won't be able to see it. So it's kind of like, but where was I going with that? The dates and reaching out to people. Like what you're saying, it's important that people don't. Yeah, I totally lost my conversation on that. Sorry,
It's
Matt. That
the
just went right
story.
out my head.
Yeah, the story's more important than the specifics, right? Like, they always say,
Yeah.
never let the truth get in the way of a good story."
No, and a lot of times it's like real estate is a very, very hands-on business,
Right.
and it to a lot of us, we do it all the time, so we know, and that's why I try to tell a lot of the new agents, and like you're talking about the lady sitting there at the bar, I've told several of our agents just to go get a part-time job of working on Friday or Saturday night. You're going to meet people coming to town. You might go work there for 4 or 5 hours. You're not working there to make that paycheck. You're there to work and meet more people. That's out of your comfort zone. By you working, you feel more able to constantly talk to people when they're coming up. Some people have that one-on-one is hard to do, but when you're behind that counter and you're waiting on them, it kind of makes it a little bit easier to open up that window for conversation. That I actually had a bar when you were talking about the Beau Rivage 5 years ago. A lady kept my card. I sold her house like 4 months ago.
Good
She
for
kept my
you.
card. She called me. She called me about 2 years ago. She said, "You ain't gonna remember me." And I said, "Well, no, if I was at the Beau Rivage, I was probably drinking and I had a driver. So yeah, I probably won't." But as soon as I seen her, I did. And she said, "I kept your card in it." It was great for me and them. It worked out really good. So you make impressions a lot of times when you don't even realize you're making impressions.
I think
You
that's
really
something that
do.
more salespeople definitely need to remember.
And well, I mean, I feel like a brand. You're making a brand. You as a person, you're making a brand as you.
Well, we joke about, like, getting a part-time job, which I think is a great idea, especially if they're a
Mhm.
bartender or maybe an Uber driver or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean, think about
But
the Uber driving.
yeah. Although ironically, I think I've had a lot of Uber drivers that are realtors, and I'm like, "Are you not making any money in real estate? What's going on here?" But, it is it's a place to start. It's a good way to meet
Mhm.
people, etc. But the other thing is, you don't even necessarily have to take a part-time job. You can simply think about what are the careers that people in my database have, because you can reach out to them and make them your referral partners.
Hmm.
Example, we all get our hair cut somewhere. And I could tell you that the girl who cuts my hair has, seven other people in her chair every day telling her their deepest, darkest secrets and what's going on in their life. So every time I go to get a haircut, I bring her her favorite Starbucks drink just to make sure she knows I care about her. And I'm like, hey, remember, anyone this week tells you that they're moving, they got a new job out of town, like, I need you to send a group text introducing them to me, your favorite client. And every
Smart.
year I get 2 or 3 deals from her, which well pays for the, $80 in coffee I'm buying her a year.
Oh, yeah, you can't beat that. And plus, it's just being nice and kind and thinking of that person. And I mean, it's not like you're expecting them to do this for you, but yeah, it's just that little extra thing. I'll do
Yeah.
that sometimes. If Sonic, I may go to the Sonic and they'll have drinks half price. So a lot of times I'll think, let me see who's working today, and I'll grab a couple extra drinks and take to them. And they would give me all these comps at the casinos for lunches, and I would just take the comps and buy nut bread. I was buying that and taking them to the fire stations and things like that versus not actually using it because I never really ate over there. So it would go to waste. So
You can
every
only
couple of
eat so
weeks.
much banana nut
Well,
bread.
exact. Oh, it's so good though. So I started, and that's what I started doing. That I take it to the firehouses and the police stations and things like that. And I mean, they ate it up, just a little something, But I think too, what you're saying, the big thing is don't expect something,
Yeah.
but it's nice to have it out there, and I think it's important, like you're saying, to stay in front of people.
Well, and the other piece too is like ensuring that people know what you want, right? Like, I
Mhm.
want my hairstylist to remember that I want her referrals. And if I don't remind her of that, she's busy, her mind's going in a million different directions, she's going to forget.
Mhm.
So, with all the people that are important to me in my life, I'm just trying to constantly reinforce that idea that I'm here, ready, and eager for any referral that they might have to send me.
And it's hard sometimes focusing in that direction. That's the way we have to look at it, because a lot of I call it farming. You're planting the garden, then all of a sudden they'll start coming up. They may all come up at one time, and you be ready. But I try to teach, and I try to tell people, it's like, look, that person didn't show up for that show, and that does not mean they ditched you. That person could have been in a car wreck. They may have dropped their phone off in the ditch. They can't call you. They can't show up. So don't shoot that text going, why are you standing me up? My time's very important. You might reach out to them, say, hey, just concerned, worried about you. Are you okay? And then if you don't, just don't jump too quick when you're not getting the responses you want. Because I've had a lot of people with me that'll come up and they'll say, look, I can't talk during certain times. So, and it makes a difference. Sometimes people can't meet you and sometimes they can't talk, but it doesn't mean they don't want to work with you. And a
Absolutely.
lot of
That's a great
times it's
point.
just scheduling. My schedule is usually easier to change than, somebody else that's working a 9 to 5 job. So, I don't like my people to miss work. I need them to make money so we can buy houses. So don't take off work. Let me. When you were talking about our influence, our sphere of influence, do you put everybody into one pot, or do you
No.
kind of divide them up into two or three different,
Great.
like,
It's a great question. So, the first thing that every real estate agent should do, if they haven't already done this, is they should come up with 5 unique categories that everyone in your list could fit into one or more of. Now, you might have one that's just, everyone's in your list, so everyone's in, your sphere, but then you might have
yes.
one that's your VIPs, and these are people that 100% would use you if they're choosing to buy or sell real estate. These are the ones that you're doing, presents for every year. You're inviting them to parties. You're doing all that stuff. You're dropping off banana bread. Then you have your second group, and these are people that are like your cold leads. These are people who maybe they were a Zillow lead that never got back with you. You have their contact information, but they don't know you from Adam. Your third group might be people that like maybe it's your bowling group, maybe it's your church group, maybe it's something else, and it's the name of however you know them. So think about like what all those groups are and make sure that they're tagged properly. Now, one person could be in all 5 of those groups,
Uh-huh.
but when you group people into the smallest possible group, it lets you send out better quality marketing to them, right? So if I'm sending you a letter in the mail, I want to make your letter tailored to how I know you or where you are in your life. And the easiest example of this for a realtor is that your buyers and your sellers should really be in two separate groups because the marketing that you're sending a buyer is very different than the marketing you're sending to a seller. Is now a good time to buy or is it a good time to sell? Because it's very rarely the best time for both groups of people.
Right. Unfortunately, right now, it seems to be in that middle spot. Nothing's going
Yeah.
up, nothing's going down, you
Yeah,
know?
and and honestly, like, right now is one of the most balanced markets that we've had in the last 20 years, right? Things are sitting for just long enough where buyers don't have to feel stressed,
Mhm.
but the best stuff is still selling fairly quickly so sellers can still get out of stuff. Excluding some insurance issues and some, HOA issues, it seems like right now the market is actually moving. So,
It
really good
is.
opportunity right now for both buyers and sellers.
Oh, I agree.
As even of a market as we've had in the last 5 years, probably.
Alright, a new agent, what would you tell a new agent where to start with their advertising?
Yep. So for a new agent, they're always going to start by building their list. I'm going to tell them to grab their cell phone, grab their Facebook list, grab their Instagram list, grab their school directory, their church directory, whatever they have, and put all those people, first name, last name, email address, phone number, address, city, state, zip code, how you know them, put that all on a spreadsheet. And then divide those into groups and figure out what is the minimum amount of times I'm going to communicate to these people per year. Now, for a new agent that likely has a lot of time but not a lot of money, we're going to focus on as much personal reach out as we can. So that's personal phone calls, personal text messages, real emails that aren't mass emails, and real letters that are handwritten, not just a mass mailing.
Mhm.
Those are all the things that you need to do first because the initial marketing you send out needs to be the best marketing you're ever going to do. Once you have business going, you can start to automate. You can start to do more mass emails, mass texts, big letters to the whole neighborhood. But that would be a really great place to start.
See, I like to
If you
put
wanna do, like, a letter to people you
mhm.
don't know, I would do that to your neighborhood, and the letter
Yeah,
is
I
really simple.
know.
It's, "Hey, you know what? You might not know me, but you might have seen me walking my dog, Bruce. He's a Schnauzer. I'm also a realtor. If you ever wanna borrow a stick of butter, let me know.
Right?
Here's what homes have been selling for in our neighborhood."
I kinda like to keep 'em like a one I have everybody in one group, so like you're saying, but I do have them split up, but like that one group will be, "Okay, this who gets a Christmas card. This group gets the spring coming, tighten up the yard. Somebody's got this on clearance," type mail out like that. And it doesn't take nothing, and especially like you said with Facebook in your phone now, it almost tells you everybody's birthday. That's one of the best and easiest ways just to say somebody you're thinking of them, "Hey, happy birthday, just seen it, enjoy your day." You made somebody's day. And that was just a simple little thing, and you made a contact with that person.
Yeah, easy.
And
Any reason to reach out is a good reason to reach out.
I agree. I agree. That's like go back in the store. You walk around that store for an hour or two. You live here, you're gonna see a bunch of people and sometimes you're gonna have somebody's relative waiting on that business card. Boom, there you go.
That's a win.
What? So, do you have different levels? If I wanted to come to you and say, "Look, Matt, I really, really, I want to be able to trim line this down. I want to be able to come in and say, look, okay, I want to do all my next 3 weeks. I want to do 3 ads, one each day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then I want to be able to plug other ads in on Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday and Sunday. But I would like to have 3 things going out every couple months. So, is that something?" We could arrange to have it where I could make everything up ahead of time, like the postcards and things like that. Can you do things? Is that kind of
I would, yeah. So me personally, like I would work with someone on the strategy of that. I would work with them on the timing. I'd work with them on the verbiage. We'd work with them on the list of who to send to. But then like I don't physically do the mailings. We don't actually do the end marketing, the design. But
okay?
we could certainly connect you with a CRM system that could assist with that.
And I think it would be so good, like you said, just to have that one spot because I've got passwords for everything, and it's like, okay, I'm trying to put everything under one place to make it easier. So if I could just hit boom, Facebook, X, all the other platforms it would just go to, that would be a big convenience.
Yeah, now I will say the downside with that is that if those systems realize you're doing that, they oftentimes won't show your stuff to as many people because all of those
Okay.
platforms want original content. And so the minute they see that you're using a tool to post the same stuff everywhere, it oftentimes downgrades the return that you get on that.
Okay, so you do better to go in there and do the
Yeah, you gotta make
couple
them a
little.
little bit different. So
Okay,
anything that seems like a really good time hack is usually not gonna be in the best interest of, the results you're gonna get.
okay. Now, do you have different levels?
Yeah, so, typically, like, when we're working with realtors, we're typically offering, like, consultation services, so they're paying, an hourly price for a certain number of hours of consulting, but we do a lot of, like, digital marketing on more of a package. So,
Okay,
at, like, $500 a month, we're gonna help someone with Google Ads and some basic SEO for their website. At a higher price, we'll build them a whole new website that's optimized for AI, that's optimized for Google, etcetera, and so, yeah, we do have some different packages, but we're, most of our packages are either consulting by the hour or
alright,
it's gonna be some form of digital marketing on an ongoing,
okay.
basis.
So, I mean, even if they want to start out small, that would be
Yeah,
great. And then when they see the product, because I mean, most of us, we want to see how it's going to work. And like I said, as soon as I know it's working, I'm here. I'm glad to spend the money
yeah,
on it because
"You're in the
it's
leads, take my money."
right. And I get tickled because a lot of people say they don't buy leads. Well, in my opinion, I think everybody buys leads. I mean, you're a member of a club. You go golfing every weekend. You buying leads when you're on the golf cart. You're paying for it to go golfing. To me, you see what I'm saying? And like you're
Yeah,
talking about the lady at the bar. You buy a drink or two. You're kind of still
yeah.
paying for
You have to
leads.
look at,
You
like,
know.
what are look at what your end goal is. I think sometimes the
Uh-huh.
simplest thing to do is just to buy the lead, but sometimes it's more fun to kind of, like, have the hunt and do a
Mm-hmm.
marketing campaign that's gonna lead to a contact, and then you can work that contact into a closing.
It's real estate's really a great business to be in. I've always wanted to do it, but it just got to the right time for me. And I'm grateful I've been in it for as long as I have. It's very interesting, and it's a thing you learn every day something new in real estate. I mean, there's something new every day. Well, what we're going to do, Matt, we're going to put out all your information. They put me out on Wednesdays, and they'll let you know with the marketing team and everybody on
Okay.
this side of it and what's going on with it. Anything you want to share with any buyers? Anything?
Yeah, if anyone is looking for another podcast, check out The Neighborhood Agent. We interview a top producing realtor every 2 weeks, and they give some general advice on what's working in the market. And if anyone needs a book, I have a book out there on Amazon called The Tangible Action Guide for Real Estate Marketing. It was a top selling real estate book a couple years ago, and the information
Nice.
still holds true. So check that out if you need more information.
I definitely will. And I definitely gonna get with you a couple weeks or next week and go over a couple more things to make sure I'm going in the right direction with my advertisement.
That sounds great. Thanks, Patrick.
I appreciate Thank you so
Have a
much,
great
Matt,
day.
for joining us.
Enjoy.
You
Bye.
too. Bye-bye. Thank y'all again for taking the time to come along my venture with me. I am Patrick Merrill, and I hope you have been lifted. If not, let me know. We'll figure out a way. There's always a way. Thank y'all again for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends. Y'all have a great day.